Hello everyone, my name is Renee Tyre Goodwin. I am with my co-host Betty Smith Rose. We call ourselves Team Gigi. And we're both children's book authors. I am the children's book author of Gigi Life Lesson Storybook series, of which Gigi Cleans House was my first book.
And my favorite.
Yes, and it's won awards, and it's also an audiobook. And there's several others. Gigi Meets Her Match, and that's when we see Leo,
who occasionally just puts his head into the video podcast.
So he may join our taping today. And you can visit my website, gigistorybooks.com, or email me anytime at gigilifelessons@gmail.com. And Betty is a children's book author as well.
Here's my little book, Can I Have a Monkey? I published this little book a few years ago. It's really great for preschool, babies as young as 6 months, and children as old as 6 or 7. They like to read it to the younger siblings. It's really good for learning those first sight words. If you'd like to have a copy, you can order one by emailing me at canihaveamonkey@gmail.com. So we'll put that there. And then my day job, I call it, is I'm program coordinator for the K through 16 Literacy Center at UT Tyler, working with a lot of the preschoolers.
Right, because it's so important to educate, and definitely a large part of that is learning to read.
Yes, at an early age.
At an early age, because if children really enjoy reading, they're going to just enjoy learning.
Yes.
And because children, their brains are just little sponges.
Yes, they are.
And they can just soak up everything. It really is. It's just a blessing. But our Team Gigi, our podcast, our theme for 2022, we've been focusing on commit yourself to grow yourself. In our past podcast, we looked at appearance and also your healthy self-image, and also in your healthy inner self. You know, how comfortable do you feel in your own skin, so to speak.
Right.
So today we're going to talk a little bit more about your inner beauty, your self-esteem.
So, Renee, what would you say, what are some of the things that could affect our self-esteem? What would make us feel bad about ourselves, in other words?
Well, like if you get embarrassed.
Yes, that's
somebody's reaction to you.
Yes. If you trip and fall or something, and the whole classroom sees it, if you were at school, something like that.
And so, but if you have a healthy self-image, you know that was just an accident, that, it's going to go away. Don't let that,
Don't dwell on it.
Right. Just go forward, time heals, and it
really doesn't affect who you are. It just, like you said, it was just an accident.
And don't allow other people to decide who you are.
Exactly.
You decide who you are. You make the decisions for you.
That's right.
Especially with your appearance, you make the decisions for you. The other thing could be your experiences at your work, your school, at home.
Yes, exactly. You might have thought casual Friday meant wear pajamas or something. Turned out that's not what they meant. In your work, you might think, well, now they're going to all hate you because of it, but they're not going to. It was just something that happened. Sometimes things happen at work. Or school, could be.
Right, and we've talked about before, that kind of leads into dress for success.
Mm-hmm.
Because back in the day when I got my first big job and everything, that was kind of the big deal. Now you got to dress for success.
Dress the part.
And that's true, but it goes on through today, actually, depending on, what your work environment is, or your school environment. You need to dress for success, because if you do, like we mentioned earlier, if you do have that daily routine, so your face is washed, your teeth are brushed, your hair is styled, and now you're ready to pay attention, and that's very important.
Sure, and it's just going to give you a better outlook for that entire day.
But also, we have to admit, regarding self-esteem, as you get older, you may not be as agile.
Exactly.
As we used to be.
And I'm not. I'll admit it, I'm not. My doctor's been trying to get me to use a cane for about a year. I finally decided the other day I'm just going to have to give in and use a cane. But that's okay. That's not who I am inside, even if physically I have to walk with a cane now.
Right.
So I don't let that bother me. And that's why I didn't do it a year ago. I was letting what other people think bother me. And now it's about, that's silly because during the last year, what if I fell because of not using it, worried about what someone was going to think.
True.
So now I'm just going to proudly take my cane
That's right. You can decorate that cane.
and walk all over the place. But there are some times when you have an illness or a disability and you worry about what other people think. And that doesn't define who you are, not at all.
And you always need to have hope. I know it's hard to do. It's easier said than done. But recently, my mother, that's 88 years old, she was a walker, wheelchair, but here we go. She got a new hip, and now she's
Now you
running
can't keep
rings
up with
around
her.
me. So I just say there may be some hard times physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like we've been talking about. However, there's always hope, and we encourage everyone to have that hope. Especially like I've been saying, I've got more years behind me than ahead of me.
Yes,
So,
I want my years ahead of me to be the best years ever. That's what I'm working on.
and we need to embrace those years.
Right, embrace our age, no
And,
matter what age it is.
Right. And I believe in celebrating the milestones. I recently was awarded the Texas A&M University Aggie Women Legacy Award.
That is a mouthful.
Aggies. I mean, how great is
That was
that?
great. That was great. And that's something that you would not have won in your 20s or 30s.
No, because I hadn't have done all those things
Exactly.
yet in my
Sometimes
20s.
we have to live out a few years and get that, I was going to say knowledge, but really it's the wisdom that comes
That's
with
right.
age. That makes a big difference.
And you make mistakes along the way. So,
Yes.
But if you're learning from those mistakes and kind of figuring out how to turn a negative into a positive, hallelujah.
Yes, and think about the things that you've already achieved. Even if you haven't won a legacy award,
True.
just think of the things that you have achieved in your lifetime. Maybe it's just raising a family. That's the most important thing you could ever do.
That's true.
Or maybe it was educating yourself.
Educate yourself, like you have definitely done. High school graduation, maybe a technical school diploma. You're just getting a job.
Yes,
these
getting
days.
your first job. At UT and Tyler, we have work study students, and a lot of them are just getting their first job. So if you just think back to maybe when you had your first or second or third job, and when you finally made it to that career that you loved, and I'm even past that now, I'm starting a new career.
Exactly, and looky here, we're both
We're doing video podcasts. What, 2 months ago, we didn't even know how.
Yes. I mean, in the past, I was a teacher, an engineer, businesswoman, and now who would have ever thought?
I know it.
Children's book author.
I know it. I feel like I've come full circle. I started out in daycare in the 80s when my children were little, and I've worked in multitude of offices, and now here I am back with the children at
And
preschool.
I think that's maybe where you.
I love it. I really do.
And that's your passion, and that's another thing. When you find your passion in life, embrace it because that's going to bring out the joy, the love.
It will
within
bring out
you.
that inner beauty.
It sure
Once
will.
you find what people used to tell me, once you get to that one particular job, you'll know it. Because I used to wonder, what am I going to be when I grow up? And I remember I used to, when I first started working, it was daycare. I worked with sitting with the elderly people. I've worked in a doctor's office, chiropractor's office, orthopedic surgeon, on. And then I kind of stumbled into what became my career for over 20 years in the field of title insurance. But I mean, the first day I walked in as a receptionist, not knowing anything else, I just knew that was it. And so I'm proud that I did acknowledge that and pursue that. And I can look back on it now, and it makes me feel good that I did that.
Right, and talking about passion and inner beauty, I will confess, with these children books, I'm able to express my inner self.
Yes.
I let Gigi do the talking. However, I get to.
It's Renee coming through.
I get to magically share my inner self,
Yeah.
my thoughts, my encouragements, my joys, my disappointments.
That's a wonderful thing about being a children's book
Yes,
author.
it is. That's our author secret.
Yes.
Well, we'll wind it up for this podcast, but we thank you so much for joining us, and we will continue. Commit yourself to grow yourself, and who knows what the next one will be. We have talked about having some guest hosts with us, or guest
I think
speakers.
that would be great. Maybe some tips on makeup and the style of clothing you wear and skincare, things like that.
And my son is great at fitness and conditioning, and I know he could give us a few
Oh,
pointers.
sure, that would be great too.
So hopefully we'll have a few guests, and we'll continue on committing yourself to grow yourself. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.